You know, our next speaker, most of us know him well. He's just so warm and loving and such an amazing speaker and such an inspiring person. And I'm just so honored to get an opportunity to introduce him. Dr. Will Boyd is the presiding bishop of Zion Ministries and the 8th pastor of a 158-year-old church in Florence, Alabama, St. Mark's Missionary Baptist Church. He's a former assistant adjunct professor, and he's the dean of student success. He was the first African American elected to the office of city councilman in Greenville, Illinois. And on February the 9th, Dr. Boyd decided that the Democratic nomination, that he would run for the Democratic nomination for the Alabama's 31st Lieutenant Governor. Dr. Boyd was born in Florence, South Carolina. That's the same state all of my mother's family is from. And he earned his master's degree and his doctorate of philosophy in religion and a doctorate of psychology, a PsyD, and clinical Christian psychology with Christian worldview from various institutions of higher learning. He also has been awarded honorary doctorates in divinity and in Christian counseling. Before transitioning into full-time ministry and public service, Dr. Boyd worked in the United States and the People's Republic of China, serving as a manufacturing engineer, production manager, quality manager. Dr. Boyd was a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, incorporated and served in several offices, and he is a consecrated patriarch and metropolitan archbishop with oversight of churches around the world. Dr. Boyd also serves on the board of directors of the Health Care Authority of Lauderdale County in the city of Florence, Alabama. I'll just add he has a beautiful wife and 2 gorgeous children. 3 gorgeous children. The littlest one I may have only met once. He also is the chair of the Lauderdale County Democratic Executive Committee. That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Boyd, for being that person as well. And a member of Alabama State Democratic Executive Committee. So at this moment, I want to stop talking and hand this over to someone who is a much better speaker than I am, Dr. Will Boyd, our next Lieutenant Governor.
Good morning and good afternoon, everybody.
Yes.
Can you give Janet Burns a great hand clap? Pam Miles a great hand clap. These statewide candidates, local candidates, the sheriff all the way up a great hand clap. And let's give ourselves a hand clap today. Thank you so much for all you do. Madison County Democratic women. It's an honor. You know, I feel like I'm at home, so if you all allow me to, I'm not going to take off my jacket, my shoes, and act like I'm really at home, but I feel like I'm at home with family, so I just want to kick back and talk to you a little bit today. Thank you so much for the opportunity just to address you today. You have a great candidate in Ms. McClure and Ms. Powell, our future PSC commissioners. They're doing an awesome job. I thought I saw tag teaming on WWF, but these 2 tag team everywhere they go. They wear each other's badges, and they're doing a great job. We're on the right side of history, my sisters and my brothers. We have Walt Maddox, a bright, energetic man who is going to lead our state forward and turn it around a different direction. We have behind me, going down the list, people like Heather Milam, a great Secretary of State, who is going to make sure our voting rights are where they need to be, are represented truly, and we can vote easily without any suppression, without anybody holding us up from the votes. We have a great person like Joe Siegelman, a good friend of mine, running for Attorney General, who is going to make sure he restores order in this state that has lost 3 branches of government, just going down, burning in flames. And we have so many more. We have Donna Smalley, we have Chief Justice DeB Vance, and we have many others. I could point around the room at all of you here today who are running. Thank you. We have future state senators in the room, future representatives in the room, and I just appreciate all of you today. Now, I've taken up most of your time today, already given thanks about everybody else, but let me say thank you for the support, the check, the calls, and everything you continue to do. About 2+ years ago, in this very room, when we had Hillary Clinton's cutout, a stage where we were planning to win, TV cameras ready to celebrate, that we've taken the 5th Congressional District, we've taken the White House. We were right in this room whenever we had to hear the news that even though we got as many votes as we did, that still yet something went wrong. And I called some of you in the room that night, touched some of you on the shoulder and said, something is not right. I just sense that we need to look into this a little bit closer. But I went on even with television cameras stuck down my throat and kept on speaking how the Democratic Party is going to move forward. I could have practiced psychology a whole lot the day after the election because many people were under the bed. Many people didn't get out of the bed. But I got up and I kept going because of many people like you. Now you might say that I've heard this speech before. I've heard the same song. I've heard the same stanza. But we need to hear it over and over again. I'm going to tell you thank you for all you do in a moment. But ladies and gentlemen, in 2016, the same stats were true that are here today. 900,000 people are still in poverty. 300,000 kids. 16% of our congressional district is still in poverty. And even 30 to 40% of our state is in poverty. It's a bad state for the state of Alabama right now. 125,000 women continue to be without health care. 125,000 women in the very city that Mr. Green and I drove from today, and I'll introduce them momentarily. 94% of the women who are single moms are actually living in poverty. Are you hearing me today? Yes. So if I sound like a preacher for just a minute, I'm going to just get you fired up to tell you we still have work to do. The last 2 years have been a joke to so many people. When I took over as chairman of the Lauderdale County Democratic Executive Committee, one thing I committed to doing is not trolling Trump. Not because he wasn't going to do right, but because I knew that if we followed him every 30 seconds of the day that he changed his mind, we wouldn't get anything done. But we stayed focused on what was right and what we needed to do to change our state. And as a result, we almost followed you in turning our city. We turned our city blue, but not our whole county. So congratulations, Madison County, for all you've done to keep moving forward. My name is Will Boyd, and I'm going to serve as your 31st Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Alabama. I'm joined today by my Chief Labor Strategist, Ronnie Green, and because of his help, we've received support from many in organized labor. I'm here also with the Chief Media Strategist, Mr. David Person. You know him from Channel 19, USA Today. He's been a surrogate on the campaign trail, and I appreciate him. Although sometimes when he shows up, you know, people want him to be the governor and lieutenant governor. You know, he's just got that kind of personality. Ronnie, whenever he shows up, he takes over the room also. So I'm just here today. You know, those are the good men that are here to keep me straight. I am actually running for lieutenant governor because I want every Alabamian to have a fair shot at the American dream. You heard a few of the stats I just rolled out for you a few minutes ago, but there are tons more that we don't even need to go into that can make you sick while you're trying to eat. Alabama needs new leadership. We need a blue wave. We need a blue tsunami. But if you don't remember anything else I say today, remember this. Women are the winning demographic. Can I get an amen from some woman somewhere? Amen. Women are the winning demographic. So far in the top constitutional races that we have out there, my race has been the tightest. From governor to chief justice, my race is the closest of the five that are at the top. And believe it or not, even Republicans have agreed that we're within striking distance and we have a shot at actually winning. Believe it or not, when you look at other polls that have just been released, I have people from President Obama's campaign and Vice President Biden's campaign working with us. You'll see people from California working with us. They've even done new polling, and new numbers have been taken to show that not only did we gain beyond 41% to now 47%, but believe it or not, we are about to pull ahead of my candidate, or my opponent, Will Lansbury. And if you don't know who he is, I never talk about him. He's the one who wants to arm the teachers. And being a son of a principal who became a superintendent, and a mom who was a nurse who became a teacher, and a wife who taught, and a brother who was the youngest superintendent in South Carolina, and a dean and a professor myself, I do not believe that teachers were paid or trained to be resource officers. They were trained to teach our kids. I have a 5-year-old, a 12-year-old who's about to leave for a cheerleading trip tonight. I have a 15-year-old who's on the marching band. And I don't want to see any teachers packing pistols in their classrooms. And so if you're going to be serious about turning this election out, getting people out to vote, talk about the issues. They want to talk to us about abortion. They want to talk to us about Second Amendment. They want to talk about same-sex marriage. And I have answers for all of those. But stay on the message. And the message is that Democrats do it well. You know, we're the party that provided the safety net for the poor. We're the party that created this overtime law that we have now. We're the party that has gone out and made sure the 40-hour work week is protected. We're the party that looks out for the poor. We're the party that's about freedom, fairness, and equity. We are the party that has looked out for every group, women's rights, civil rights, and we've gone across the board and looked at everybody who needs help, and we've made sure we've been there. If you're disenfranchised, if you're financially challenged, if you feel like you don't have adequate representation, the Democratic Party has represented you. And for too long, we've allowed people to put a label on us that we're baby killers, that we're people who don't like everybody else, that we're people who are so sensitive about people's needs that we don't get anything done. But I'm telling you, I'm proud to be a Democrat. Democrats are the ones who need to be in the White House, in the State House, in the sheriff's offices. Democrats are the ones who need to be leading Madison County, Limestone County, Morgan County, Jackson County, Lauderdale County, and all of the 60, 70 counties in our great state of Alabama. But we can't do that if we don't have your help. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir now, but we need to knock on doors. We need to make sure we keep on passing out literature. We need to make sure we keep calling people and writing checks. Can I be very brutally honest? I know cameras are rolling, and I was just presented. Where is Michael Wiseman? There he is. Michael Wiseman is a member of the IATSE, and their union is so special. The international group that actually looks out for the actors and theater stage employees. That is one of the unions that has fought to make sure that women and men get paid the same amounts. Wow. You need to give that group, the IATSE, a hand. I spoke before their group a few years ago, and when I walked in, I believe Michael gave me a check, and he gave me a folder that had a transcript of speech. I wanted to open this up and read it today, but I don't know if it would be applicable, but anyway, it looks like a pretty good speech. I might read it again. But I just wanted to recognize you because of people like you. Wow. That's right. Unions fighting for equality, we're going to do well. But let me give you the honest, brutal truth. This state is still a state that has people that meet in back rooms like this one and believe that the hope of the future relies in people that look like them. They are focused on one gender, and they're focused on a lack of diversity. But I'm here to tell you that women can change Alabama. Now, I'm going to be really honest. I tell the truth everywhere I go. We are glad that there was a 98%, 96% high number of African-American women that showed up at the polls, but at best, that will only get me 47%. I need other women to get me to 50 plus 1. Are you with me today? So in other words, the Democrat Party is a team party. And we work together regardless of race, regardless of station, regardless of income. We are all on the same team. So it's time out for these back rooms, smoky rooms that are filled with people who want to keep Alabama the way it was. We need change. The Lieutenant Governor of Alabama, and I'm a preacher, pastor, bishop, so I'm going to give you not 19 conclusions today. I'll just give you 1 or 2 and I'll quit. See if I can get any ushers to lock the doors. Did you bring a collection plates up? You have it? Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Pockets ready to go. Excellent. I want y'all to understand this. The Lieutenant Governor appoints 400 positions to over 167 committees. The Lieutenant Governor is the President of the Senate. So if you have in one house someone working over here like a Miss Joanne Cummings fighting for change, and if you have a senator who might be there like a Amy Wasaluka who's making sure that some bills get through. If we had a supermajority in the House or in the Senate, believe it or not, it is the lieutenant governor who is your last stopgap, who can stop legislation from moving forward. Are y'all hearing me today?
Yes.
Senate Bill 88 was the attempt to strip the lieutenant governor of his powers. Why would they introduce that when there's no lieutenant governor in the office? Because they knew a Democrat was coming along that's going to straighten this state out. We have to understand what this lieutenant governor role does and how powerful it is. And then you might understand why people are trying actively not to push our campaign forward. Our campaign and our office can be instrumental in pushing forward the whole party and the Democratic issues altogether. Our state, I know I'm still talking off the record, even though you're recording me, is in a whole lot of trouble. We have the ADC on one side, the Alabama Democratic Reform Caucus on the other side, and I'm a member of both. We have other fractures that exist, so that people in the party don't know how to unify and work together. We can't even walk together holding hands because we're looking and checking our backs to make sure no one's stabbing us at the same time. If we're going to win big on November 6th, and I know we are, we've got to change our thinking today. And we get into these mindsets and silos, I'm for this candidate and I'm for that candidate. It is good to be behind a candidate, but the way we win is when we work together as a team. And too many people are too segregated and divided in our party. But Madison County Democratic women, I want to thank you. You've shown consistently that you support people all the way across the board. I'm a witness to that. So as I prepare to close, as it relates to a few things at the top, first of all, health care. The first concern of primarily every Alabamian I run into is, if not mental health, is health care. The first thing a Maddox-Boyd administration is going to do is expand Medicaid. We have over 1 million people with pre-existing conditions. We are seeing where rural hospitals are closing. We're seeing where, believe it or not, as early as 1980, we saw where there were probably 46 to 54 OBGYN stations, buildings, offices out there for us to get attention whenever we need it, going through the process of having a baby or looking for gynecological services. But those have gone down now to where you can barely find somebody that can help you. We also need to make sure we look at midwives and we look at nurse practitioners being given more authority to write controlled substance prescriptions. We have to be creative. We can't win in Alabama if we keep thinking in the same old conservative manner. After all, I know I'm being recorded, like I said last time, conservatism doesn't work. We've seen over the last 35 years that, believe it or not, the top 1% has seen their income triple, quadrupling of the income for corporations. And if you're anywhere between the top 2 and 20%, you saw a 70% increase in your income. But what happened to the rest of us in the room? Now, I know you're at the country club, but really, what happened to the rest of us in the room? We were stuck. I know I'm getting in trouble. We were GOP'd on if that was a trickle-down economic policy. And so we need to understand, in order for us to do better economically, we've got to reach out and do things differently. We can't keep charging poor and middle-class families $110 for $100 worth of groceries. We've got to repeal those grocery taxes. We've got to look at old, outdated 1901 thinking and go back to our Constitution and figure out what's not right with the personal exemption. What's not right with the standard deduction? What's not right with the child exemption? We've got to go in and figure out how do we get the mills straight so that we have adequate schools instead of crumbling schools in the Black Belt and others that are better in other areas of the state. We have to have equality in the funding of schools. You all, if you heard me, you know as a teacher, I am tired of us robbing the education trust fund. I am tired of us putting twice as much on a prisoner than we do a child in public education and expect us to do well. We will remain 47, 48, 49 until we start changing our thinking. We need to fully fund pre-K. We are only funding 29% of our pre-K right now. But can you imagine what happens when you do that? Candace will tell you, for every $1 we invest in pre-K, we get a $7 return on investment. Where else can you get an ROI like that? Believe it or not, for every child in pre-K, every landowner is seeing $2 to $3 income and more on their property because of people in pre-K. They are more emotionally stable, they are more confident, they succeed, they do well because they had an early start. 90% of the brain of a child is developed in the first 5 years of her or his life. So we've got to invest in our future. We've got to also look for an education lottery. Now, believe it or not, I'm a pastor, but I'm not running to be the pastor of the state of Alabama. I'm running to be the lieutenant governor. And we're tired of giving our money to Tennessee and Florida and Mississippi. We're tired of educating their kids, and our kids are at the bottom. This is not a race to the bottom. This really is a race to the top. So we have to change our thinking. As far as jobs, we have 75,000 people who are unemployed. We have 36,000 jobs that have not been filled because we don't have the right skill set. We've married labor and education together and said not only can you save $30,000 coming out of high school going to a community college, but you can also get yourself skilled in the trades. So you can go to work and have money coming in, bread on the table. When we stay on the bread and butter issues, we'll actually see change in Alabama. Now, it may have happened for Doug Jones once, but we're going to see it happen for him again in the future. You're going to see a Doug Jones 2.0 on November 6th. You're going to see where some of us are fighting Roy Moore number 2s in our own elections. But we're going to show Alabama that it's time to change. And I believe as we tackle the issues of education, health care, jobs, the economy, and we work well together, we're going to see a change. So thank you so much, Madison County Democratic Women, for all you do. Keep working. Keep pushing. We are almost there, and we're going to be victorious. Thank you so much. And may God bless.